Hello everybody and welcome back to Hearts of Iron, where Joaquim da Costa was wounded. Okay, I don't really care all that much. But we are making fantastic progress at this point into the American Union. They are in full-on crumble mode, it feels like. Yeah, we're seeing some substantial resistance in some of these locations, to be sure. But overall, I think this is going fantastically. Are we going to need additional infrastructure? Not yet. Okay, so has Washington fallen? Not quite. It's under siege and has been for a while. We can go ahead and nuke Washington. That'll be entertaining. Lebanon has capitulated. Now, I did notice in between episodes that there had been a rebellion in the rebellion zone. They don't have any troops out over here, and I ordered movements to take care of it. It should be done momentarily. We'll have this taken care of in just a moment. No problem whatsoever there, and that is well under control. If we look at the rest of the world over here, things seem to be fine. I mean, the American Union has got problems of their own. They're not going to be launching invasions over here at this time. So that is great. We're going to continue to push in over here. You can see substantial portions of Michigan have fallen. There goes Syria, as expected. And Washington has fallen. Great. How close is the American Union to capitulation? Honestly, at this rate, we might expect them to be capitulated maybe this episode, probably next episode. Like, we're looking at the end here. This is the end for the United States, and that is wonderful. We're going to get Maryland working on infrastructure. Gotta have that infrastructure built after all. Okay. Have we gotten these 5 troops over here? Which were they? These guys. Have they arrived? Enough of them have. So we're going to take this army here, and we're going to pull back on their front line here. And their front line is no longer going to be over here. There's no editor? Why is there no editor for the front line? Okay, that's awkward. I guess we'll have to delete their front line. And we'll just do that. And then we'll put their front line in right here. I mean, not like this, but rather their front line is going to be... Oh, there's Army Group 1 here. Right, that needs to get deleted. So their front line would be put in like that, and that is not how I want this front line to go, because we are protected by the Great Lakes here. So instead, we're going to put in our front line simply here. Like that. Okay. And then their offensive line is simply going to be something kind of like, at this point, this. Just another big chunk out of Canada. There we go. Fantastic. We're continuing to push down the East Coast. And we've almost gotten all of Texas under our control now. So this is going absolutely fantastically. We are definitely seeing the American Union collapse, and I think a big part of this is that they're just pumping out the units at this point in desperation mode without training. I think that is what's going on here. So in terms of the actual non-capitulated members here of the American Union, you've got the United States, you've got Canada, you've got the representative Dominican Republic, the Republic of Guadeloupe. Both of those are Caribbean nations. And the Third Empire of Haiti, okay, that's also a Caribbean nation. Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Sure. I'm going to call that a Caribbean nation, even though it's only kind of a Caribbean nation. But sure, that's fine. And at this point, we're just continuing to shove in. You are seeing our manpower kind of fluctuate wildly right now, but that is completely expected. Excellent. So these guys are trying to push in over here. We don't expect them to get too much. We're just trying to tax the American defenses in as many locations as possible. That is our current goal. Have these guys managed to launch their naval invasion over here? They have not. Yeah, they haven't even tried. And that's because they have to get through these 3, and that is tough. For sure. We're trying to hold all 3 of these. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to select these guys, pull them out of here and here, and then I'm going to select these guys and pull them only up to Yeah, we want them to be in, I think, the West Emperor chain. So we'll do... Hang on. There are 2 up here. 1 here. None here. Allegedly. Which 2 are over here? Okay. So we can have you come out of here. And then you're going to the naval base. Okay. I think that's 1 in each. I don't know that for a fact. But we'll see if that works. We know that our naval situation over there is not fantastic, but it doesn't have to be. This is completely fine for right now. And I do think that we're going to see the US capitulate soon. The question is, do we end the war? Or do we just end the series with the US capitulation? I think we go ahead and end the whole war. It's not going to take too much longer after Canada and the US capitulate, to be honest. So I think that's the overall idea here. We are the superpower at this point. There's no doubt about that. And we do have some unassigned divisions over here. I'm just going to plop those into the European Coast Guard. Not like they're tremendously important up there, but we'll just do that for now. And we don't have any garrison troops going in either. So at this point, we're just stockpiling nukes. How are we doing in the air war? Oh, this is fine. This is completely and totally fine. We don't have anything out over here, but we also don't need it. We have these Canadian forces that we would like to stack wipe, and it looks like we are completely capable of doing so. Excellent. Los Angeles has fallen, as you would expect. Oklahoma City has fallen as well. We're currently besieging what looks to be, what is that, Tulsa? I believe so. Doesn't actually say. Yeah, that's Tulsa. Fantastic. And we are sieging New Orleans as well. Yeah, this is going great. We're very, very pleased with this. As far as up over here goes, I would like to get these guys moving on in here. I don't know if there's a crossing here or not. But let's just get the rest of the lower portion of Michigan under our control. And let's take a look at infrastructure. Ah, Indiana. Okay. Get infrastructure constructing in Indiana and California. Beautiful. So you can see that we are definitely working our way up through the infrastructure and getting a lot of that built. That's great. These guys up here, they're not really doing too much of note, but that's okay. A lot of these are actually unassigned. This entire army is unassigned. I feel like they're supposed to be down here. Get over there. Army 12. Okay. So these guys, there's only 21 divisions assigned here. All of them should be assigned to this order. All 30. There we go. I think that will create a bit of a change. That's good. That's what we want. And we are making our way in over this way, kind of. I mean, we're kind of abandoning Michigan, but sure. That's okay. I'm fine with that. We're just going to move around a bit. In the meantime, the U.S. still has a lot of little divisions on their way over. But this is fine. Like, look at this. The U.S. is 74% towards capitulation now. And Canada's a lot further. They're 91%. So this is looking pretty over, if you ask me. Our troops are moving on in, and you can see here, we're not really losing huge amounts. We should get this guy into this unit that's not full. So we'll do that, get him on up there. And that's all fine. A subject may soon raise their autonomy. That's okay. We might actually meet up here pretty soon and have this be like 2 very long fronts. If that ends up being the case, then we'll have to think about how we want to split this. I think we'll mostly want to hold the western front and then push the eastern front is the way I think we'll do that. Yeah, that's going to be kind of complicated, to be sure. This army is part of this force right now. We may move it over once we have this linked up. Yeah, I think that's going to happen. So currently they're at 76 million to our 33 million. We're doing extremely well at this point. We've got this solidly under control. The US is just continuing to crumble. Their forces are clearly not up to the task. And we're very, very pleased with that. How many do they have left in terms of divisions? A maximum of 330. Well, that's not very much. How are they doing manpower-wise? Oh, wow. Their manpower has been cut in half. I mean, to be fair, we've taken some of their most populous areas. That makes sense. We're going to grab this, and that's fine. We're pushing our way up over this way. So these 5 units, they are essentially going to be responsible at this point for offensive lining pretty much all of Wisconsin. There we go. They'll go invade that. Not those guys. These guys. There we go. So they'll be able to do that. We've almost gotten Chicago under siege. In fact, we are next to Chicago. We could siege that, but we're not working on that at this exact moment, and I'm okay with that. Overall, this is going swimmingly. Once we actually got to the United States, they started absolutely collapsing. This choke point was tough to push through, but it ended up being fine. Up here, it was just a matter of time. We had to get our supplies rolling, and then once we started pushing into New England over here, it was just over. So that's great. Now we're going to need to open and widen a corridor here. The question becomes, how wide do we want it to be before we reorient our armies? Because they are going to have to be moved around. There's no doubt about that. However, we can start building infrastructure in Kansas, in Arkansas, and in Kentucky. And so we shall. This war is not going well for the United States. Not at all. And I consider this a defensive war, even if the game considers it an offensive one. I definitely consider it defensive. Will the US capitulate before Canada? That's the question that I have right now, and the answer is possibly. If Canada truly doesn't have another victory point until Vancouver, it might be a while before we get there. That's definitely something to think about. I think it's very possible that the US capitulates first. The US decrypted our ciphers. Good for them. It's not going to really help them, in all honesty. Like, they can't handle this. They can't keep up with us at this point. We just outproduce them, and we have the manpower gains to keep this up. As long as we're gaining territory, we're unstoppable. If they stop us, then we're stoppable. But they have to stop us first, and we're unstoppable. So I wish them luck with that. You can see here, we've pretty much bypassed this push line. So let's go ahead and redraw this. At this point, this push line basically becomes an offensive line at the Canadian border. Actually, I'm going to just do it like right here at the parallel. There we go. And in they go. Perfect. The East Coast is falling, and with that goes any hope of naval supremacy that they ever had. And that's good, because that'll free up these guys over here eventually. In theory. Emphasis on the in theory. Why are you in Eastern Micronesia? Get out of Eastern Micronesia. And then these guys. Are these the same guys? It's the same guys. Okay, that's a little awkward. Do we only have one navy over here? No, we have this navy. Patrol in Eastern Micronesia. There we go. Cool. And then there's this navy. Patrol in the Mariana region. Okay. There we go. Now we have a navy in each location. That's what we were looking for. Fantastic. So as far as this corridor over here goes, we are pushing towards each other, but we'll see if we get there. That's going to be fairly questionable. Huge chunks of Wisconsin have now fallen, and Minnesota. And Illinois has almost fallen in its entirety. Excellent. We should definitely get infrastructure queued up in Illinois and in Mississippi. There we go. Things are looking great. We never really expected to have problems, though, once we got to this stage. This was always supposed to be the easy part. In theory. Emphasis on the in theory. We do need to redraw this offensive line, though. And what did I just delete? I'm not sure what I just deleted, but we'll delete that offensive line, and we'll put in a new offensive line, and this is basically take over the American Southeast. Excellent. We'll just do something like that. That'll do. And these guys are not assigned, so I think that's what I accidentally deleted. There we go. Now they're assigned. Perfect. Okay, so at this point, we expect the United States to capitulate actually very soon here. Oh yeah, they're 91% towards capitulation right now. They're going to be capitulating. Ooh, this is really close. But they're going to be capitulating very soon. We've almost driven a wedge here, which means that they won't be able to move supply between those two. Absolutely huge. Are these guys on aggressive? Get to aggressive. There you go. Get in here. Perfect. We have a pocket here. There was nobody in that. There may or may not have been originally. Ooh, there it is. There's the corridor. Right there. We need to widen that corridor before we want to consider a troop redeployment. So that's fine. We'll probably move this force into this army group, like so. And we can also strengthen this force a decent amount. There we go. Perfect. I feel like that capitulation will happen any moment now, but we don't want to redeploy while this corridor is this narrow. So that's something that we're definitely thinking about. But now they have two separate supply areas, and that is a huge deal. They might be about to get three. If this area falls, then that's huge. Like, we already know that this war is won, right? That is a pretty much guarantee at this point. But even so. Even so. Have we managed to invade over here? Yes, these guys have. But these guys, they have not. Not yet. They're lacking naval supremacy. Fair enough. They'll get there soon enough. And honestly, we don't need them up here. That's very clear. So these guys have been pocketed. I'm going to select everyone that is part of this and tell them, come on in. And these guys over here, come on into St. Louis. And come on up here. Okay. These guys are surrounded. They have no supply flow other than, like, one supply flow from St. Louis. So let's just get this taken care of. That will widen this corridor up to a safe level. You can stop advancing for the time being. Excellent. These guys are coming in over here. We're going to have them come in over here instead. We can actually nuke these areas as well. And that might not be a terrible idea to make sure that this happens quickly. Kaboom. And they can't replace those supplies. So this should be a pretty quick stack wipe over here, is what we're expecting. And there it is. The United States has capitulated, giving us access to 50% of their stockpiled equipment. The cowardly American nation could no longer withstand the pressure from the overwhelming presence of Brazilian forces throughout the country. The American government chose to flee the country and has gone into exile. Their main forces have capitulated, and integralist Brazil is now in control of their home area. Through the war against what remains of the American Union or rather, though the war against what remains of the American Union continues elsewhere, this is a great victory for all of the integrated Brazil. Indeed it is. So we have a few pockets of U.S. resistance over here. We need to clean up Canada. And let's just go ahead and delete these orders over here. These guys can stay. And these are going to head up and deal with Canada. We'll have this force front line over here, though. They'll do that, and they'll get assigned in there. That will help. We'll have them just offensive line something kind of like this, and they'll get started on that. Whereas the rest of these will, of course, offensive line straight up to the top of the map. Like that. They can get started on that. It will take them some time to get there. Now, as far as these pockets of American resistance go, we're going to have some of these guys come in over here. And we just need to clean up these pockets. We'll just do something kind of along the lines of this. Is that all of them? There's this pocket over here of Canadian troops. So we're going to come on over like so. There's some Canadian troops in San Francisco still. We'll go grab that. And then there's this pocket up here that we'll need to grab in a bit. Okay, sounds good. But the U.S. has capitulated. Now we are on cleanup duty. The state of Japan joined Canada. Okay. So we're going to need to do something about that. There's no crossing here. So State of Japan has not been called in yet. We're just going to come up here, and there are 5 divisions that have been assigned to this. Sure, that's fine. We'll need to deal with the State of Japan, apparently. And let's see here. That's in the American Union there. Canada is now the leader of the American Union. Keep that in mind. So we're not quite done here. But we have conquered America. I do want to finish the war, though. That is, I think, the overall goal here is finish the war. We now have a lot of manpower, and they just called in the State of Japan. That's unlikely. And they assumed faction leadership. That was... I said that's unlikely, but that is likely that they were going to do that. So we're going to need to fight State of Japan. For now, this is going to be real spicy. I think that we're going to probably have this army group head on over and deal with that. Just because these guys feel like they're already fairly under control. We're going to come in over here. And yeah, this is all dealt with. So at this point, this army group, they're going to come over this direction. Now, we're not going to necessarily have them all be here right now, but we're just going to tell them, come on over, and we'll figure out where we want to deploy you a little bit later on. So we'll do something along the lines of that. They'll start mobilizing over that way. Now, as far as these American troops over this way go, there are mutinies in the army. Okay, we're going to hold the patriotic speech. Sure. Okay, as far as the rest of this goes, we do have these guys fairly under control. Let's go attack this force. And I want these guys attacking over here. We want to get this pocket dealt with. And we want to get this handled. I mean, these guys are working their way up. We do need to make sure that we are building infrastructure in all of the states at this point. There we go. A lot of these will finish up very quickly, so that'll be fine. And we have some troops up over this way at this point. That's great. We're just going to continue to head north. Now the question is, what can we do about Japan? I mean, keep in mind this is Korea, not Japan. They're basically the same color, but these are our allies. These are not. We see a division heading in over here for probably a naval landing. And to that end, I'm going to have, like, this unit here. We're going to start area defending, basically, this entire coast. Kind of like this. Now, we do want to move some navy. And we're going to do exactly that. These guys are going to leave the seaboard over there. They're going to come over to Sea of Japan. We want to essentially blockade everything that Japan has. So they're going to leave Mexican coast here, and they are going to go over to the East China Sea. Our Caribbean blockade will actually remain. The Sargasso Sea Navy is going to come over to coast of Japan and leave the Sargasso Sea. The Newfoundland Sea Navy, they are going to come over to, like, Mariana region. And they're going to leave Newfoundland Sea. And the Labrador Sea Navy, they are going to come up over here. I think that is good. Once our navies get there, things should be much improved for us, in theory. So there we go. We'll move our navies on over, and we'll respawn to Japan as soon as we can. Now, they might get landfall here. And for now, we're going to have these guys coming down over to here. That's going to be fairly necessary, I feel like. These guys, they can move into, like, one of these armies over here. That'll be fine. We can probably move troops from here if necessary, but for now, it's time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we're going to clean up Canada and start going after Japan. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and I will see you all next time.